Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name's Nina Ubhi. I'm an entrepreneur and I have several businesses under one umbrella, and one of them being a full-time content creator. So I've decided to share with you the highs and lows of being a content creator. Basically what I've learned during my time being a full-time content creator, and a lot of you guys have been asking for it, so here it is. I'm going to be very honest and very real with you guys. So I'm going to be starting off with the highs, the plus points, whatever you want to call them, because I feel like then we can move over to the other points near the end of the video, and that way you can decide whether you really do want to do this, whether you really want to become a content creator, and is it really for you? Now, don't forget that some of the lows or kind of negative points that we're going to mention later on in the video are important for you guys to actually hear, because it may mean that it's not suited for you, or it may mean that actually you're pretty good at that, so that's not going to be a problem for you. So make sure you do watch until the end. First off, let's talk about what a content creator is. Now, a content creator is someone who creates entertaining or kind of educational material and then puts that material out majority of the time in a digital form on any kind of platform or channel. And then you kind of amass a following or an audience, you create your own kind of community, and you are in actual fact influencing that audience in some way, and hopefully in a good way. It could be anything from a fashion content creator to someone who helps with people would like more help in terms of being styled, or they want fashion styling tips. It could be a makeup artist like myself. So I do have another channel, which is my beauty YouTube channel, which is where I educate people on makeup and how to apply it. It's very, very educational, so make sure you do check that out. And then obviously you can earn a revenue from that, and we can go into that a little bit later, but I will be doing another video soon, kind of really delving into that side. But today we're just going to stick to the highs and the lows. Let's start with the first one, which is time. Now, obviously you're not working a 9 to 5, so that's a good thing. You're not sitting in an office working a set period of time. You do have a bit more control over when you work. Now, the thing is, what I would say is you will buy yourself time if you are very strategic in how you plan and organize your content. So if you have planned it and organized it and structured it in a certain way where you can have the rest of the day off, then you're doing it the right way. But if you feel like it's overwhelming and you're constantly trying to get content everywhere, then maybe you need to sit back and just think about how you can actually plan it and just organize your whole schedule of filming and creating content, because there is a way to actually buy yourself more time with it, but it is about being very organized with your time. So I would say if you're not good at organizing or timekeeping yourself, then try and get hold of a friend or a colleague or someone who you know and trust, maybe a family member that is very good at that, because they can really help. It always helps to have that fresh set of eyes on your plan, on your scheduling, because I understand how overwhelming it can be. Like, my husband is OCD when it comes to timing, being organized and planning things, and that's great because he has something that I don't bring to the table. I'm not very good with that, so he really kind of like looks over my schedule, my planning, and then tells me where he could probably change it a little bit for me and whether that works for me or not. And that's how I managed to kind of buy myself more time with content creation. Next up, it is working remotely. The great thing is you can work from anywhere. You can basically set up wherever you may be in the world and work from there, because creating content can be done from anywhere, depending on what your topic is that you maybe focus on, or if there's anything specific that you focus on. For example, if you are a content creator and all you talk about is New York, then you're going to have to be in New York. But generally, most content creators will pick a topic that they can kind of do from anywhere. Like, fashion can be done from anywhere, beauty can be done from anywhere, tech can be done from anywhere. So it really is down to what you want to do and how much you want to kind of travel as well. I mean, the great thing is you don't have to be sitting in an office to be a content creator. You don't have to be sitting in your home to be a content creator. You can go and sit in a cafe. You can anywhere that kind of brings you that kind of creativity and makes you feel like you're in that zone. I love that aspect of being a content creator because I don't feel tied down or stuck or bored in one place. I can kind of move around and it kind of keeps me more engaged and keeps the juices flowing. Next, it's financially rewarding. Now, this is something that I think a lot of people don't talk about, unfortunately, but it genuinely is. There is no cap on what you could earn being a content creator. It does require a lot of hard work. It does require a lot of time. But again, going back to time, it really does depend how you kind of like plan and organize your time as well while you're being a content creator. You can earn whatever you put into your business. If you're going to put 100% in, you are more likely to make more money at the end of the day because you're putting more effort in, you're giving it 100%. So it really is down to what you really want to earn from it. Just to give you an idea on what the content creator industry is worth, it reached a valuation of $14.9 billion, and that was in 2022. It's estimated to reach $47.2 billion by 2032, and those numbers are pulled from Future Market Insights. It's such a huge industry and there is so much that you can do and there's so much earning potential in it. And I really do hope a lot of you don't kind of look at it and think, oh, it's so saturated now. Honestly, there is never enough people creating content. Everyone wants to find someone new, someone fresh. So it's never too late to start. It really does depend on what platform you're on too, because every platform offers a different type of payment scheme. So what you get paid can be either via the actual platform, such as YouTube, they have AdSense, and then you've got Instagram, and then you've also got TikTok, they have their own version. So it depends how many you're on, like how many are you actually utilizing? Are you actually utilizing enough platforms without kind of overwhelming yourself and kind of it ending up being detrimental to your whole content creation side of the business? Are you just sticking to one and just keeping it simple and keeping it very kind of like consistent with one? Every kind of platform has a different set amount or share percentage that they pay you. But then you also have brand deals as well. So you've got brand deals that could also help bring in some extra income for you. And you also have products and services. So it could be that you are offering a service as well as being a content creator, like as part of being a content creator. Like maybe you're consulting as well, which forms a part of your content creation. Maybe you also have products that you've decided to launch off the back of being a content creator. There are so many different avenues that you can take and kind of branch out into making more of an income and increasing your income stream. So it really does depend on how far you want to go, how hard you want to work, how much time do you want to put in, and how much can you handle? That's a big thing I feel like a lot of people don't really talk about enough, because you've obviously heard of burnout, so it can happen, it does happen, but you've really got to get that sweet spot of how much you can handle without it kind of tipping you over the edge, but also keeping you creative at the same time. Another plus point and something very close to my heart is community. So you are going to be able to build a community, build an audience, which honestly is so rewarding. That is such a high for me. It's probably my favorite part about being a content creator, is the kind of community that I've created over on my beauty YouTube channel and what I'm currently creating here at my vlog channel. You literally start with zero. And that's the crazy thing about it, is initially I was thinking, who on earth is going to want to watch me? Like, why are they going to watch me? Am I going to be too boring? I'm not really out there loud, you know, why are they going to want to watch me? I'm just not going to be entertaining. But then I realized slowly as I started and I started getting more and more people subscribing to my channel and leaving comments, that I realized that I'm educational. And sometimes you don't know what it is that's going to really kind of like hook people in, but other people will let you know over time. Your community will build itself because of the work and the consistency that you apply to your business. And when it does start building, they will let you know what your strong points are and what you should focus on more. And it really is a case of listening to your audience. The worst thing you can do is start building your community and not give them some kind of acknowledgement or time. You know, like I take my time to respond to all of my comments. They've become so many now that I can't actually reply to every single one, but I without fail will leave a heart and a like on majority of them. When I have time, I will actually reply. So you've got to acknowledge them. And sometimes I make sure I acknowledge them in my video. So even though I may not have time to reply to every single comment, I will make sure that in the video I talk about them and I mention them. And I will actually say to them that I really appreciate you guys, because that's genuinely how I feel, and I want them to feel like this is a good community, especially when you have people leaving comments, really long comments, explaining to you why your videos help them so much and why they keep coming back and why they're there to follow your new channel with you. So they can actually help you grow as well. But it really is about you nurturing that community and looking after it. You have to see it as people who are hanging out with you. I give them the same amount of respect and love that I would do if they were physically with me. I make them kind of feel like they're seen, because it's easy to get lost in the whole content creation side. That has to be the most rewarding part, is creating a community that actually cares, and you are in control of how you build that community, how good it is and how accepting it is and how kind it is. And that for me is something that is very, very rewarding, because it just puts a smile on my face every time I read my comments on a daily basis. Next up is when your content goes viral. It's something that feels so nice, and I'm sure any content creator will tell you the same thing. It honestly feels so rewarding because you've realized that hard work you've put in has been acknowledged. And sometimes it's difficult because you'll get kind of like videos that you've put so much effort into that just nothing happens to them, and you're like, but I thought that was really good, and then it just nothing happens with it. So it can be high and low, but obviously when it goes viral, it feels great, and it kind of gives you that push to do better and create something better. But not only that, for me, I feel like another reason that I love when a video goes viral is that it gives me an indication as to what is working, as to what people want to see. If it goes viral, it means they've loved that topic, they've loved the way that I've created it. I need to do more of that. And that's the key thing here. When you get a video that goes viral, stick to it. It doesn't mean you repeat the same thing over and over again. You've got to kind of mix it up. You've got to bring other things to the table. It does give you a little bit of a hint on what people want to see. The next one is collaborations. This is something that I think is actually quite underrated, and it really does need to be up there with the highs of being a content creator. You meet so many new people, like you collaborate with so many different people and you actually learn from them. It's such a great way to kind of like get you out there too. Now, another thing is when you are collaborating, you are tapping into that other person's audience and they're tapping into yours. So it's a win-win for both at the end of the day. I think it's time to move on to the lows. Let's be realistic. There are lows in anything that you do. And I really wanted to share this with you so that you guys understand that this is the reality of it. As much as there are highs, I personally feel that they outweigh the lows, but at the same time, it goes with anything. I feel that all the high points that I've mentioned are way more important to me to let the lows overshadow any of the highs. It's definitely unpredictable. You're not going to be making the same amount of money consistently throughout the year. Q1 and Q2 always seem to be quiet because of brands figuring out their budgets. Q3 and Q4 definitely pick up and it's a lot higher. But generally, it isn't necessarily consistently like that. There have been months at the beginning of the years where I have made way more than I actually expected. I always, in the back of my mind, prepare for the fact that Q1 and Q2 are going to be a little bit slower, but sometimes I have been surprised and it's been great. And sometimes in Q4 and Q3, you'll get the odd month, which usually you would have made way more than the previous year. And this year, you just haven't made anywhere near as much. So it is unpredictable. You're not necessarily going to have a steady income stream with this. That is down to the business. It is the name of the game, basically. And if you are worried about something like that, I would suggest diversifying what you do. So figuring out what else you can do alongside being a content creator. If you don't think that you can fit a full-time job or a part-time job a long time being a content creator and you really want to go full-time with this, which ultimately, if you're going to take this seriously, you need to go full-time with it, I would suggest trying to start something else on the side. Like, what is it that you're focusing on? What is it that you're good at in terms of being a content creator? Like, have you focused on being a stylist? In which case, why don't you also offer consulting on the side? That way, you're bringing in an extra or some extra income as well as what you're relying on from your content creation side. Next is pricing. I feel like this is another thing that a lot of people don't talk about, unfortunately. It is such a struggle figuring out what to actually charge clients, what your rates should be. I have spoken to so many other content creators when it comes to YouTube, and it's always the same thing. Everyone is charging a different amount. There's no set kind of guide as to what you should be charging because your numbers are always changing. Your number of subscribers are always changing. And as they increase and as your engagement increases, your rates should be going higher as well. Like, I definitely charge way more now compared to what I charged at the beginning. When I had hardly any subscribers, I don't even think I was charging anything. But then when I started gaining subscribers, my rates were extremely low on YouTube. But that now, like a year, 2 years ahead, I'm at 370 something thousand subscribers. My rates are much higher because my stats justify that. You should look at that too. Like, look at your stats, look at your engagement. Are people actually buying the products that you're talking about? Like, for example, I can tell from stats that I have access to that when I actually talk about certain products and I'm very enthusiastic about it because basically I can't fake it. I am very genuine on my videos and they can literally see through me straight away. The audience that I've created and the community that's there, they know when I love something because I just can't help it with the way that I end up behaving. And I'm so obsessed with this product, they'll go out and buy it. That's another good way of kind of deciding what rate you should set for yourself. Because if you know that you are genuinely influential, then you should be setting yourself a decent rate because you're not just putting content out there for the sake of it. Firstly, I know that my content is educational. Secondly, I know that my audience, my community will go out and buy those products because they trust my judgment and they trust me. But it can be really difficult trying to figure out what you should be pricing yourself at. And I would say do some research, figure out like what other people are charging. Not everyone's going to be completely honest with you. But if you approach some kind of like agency or something like that, not necessarily asking them to book you on, but just asking for a bit of help in terms of what they would suggest that you charge, that may help also. Next is boundaries. boundaries, it can be pretty difficult stopping yourself from creating content. And this kind of like ties into the whole time thing that I was talking about at the beginning. Like, you have to be very organized with your work in order for this to work, because if you don't, you'll burn out way quicker than you actually anticipated, and you'll end up just becoming overwhelmed because there's just so much for you to do that you can't figure out when and how to do it. Also, it ends up eating into your life a lot. Being a content creator can sometimes completely take over because you end up taking content wherever you are, and then it makes it really difficult for you to actually enjoy yourself and switch off and enjoy your time with whoever it is that you're out with. And it can end up being pretty rude. I am lucky that my husband is also my business partner, and he fully understands the business. He understands the game. So he knows that when we're out and I'm taking content, he doesn't get offended by it. If anything, sometimes he will say to me, don't you think you should be doing that content? So you've really got to make sure that whoever you are with is either understanding, and if they don't understand what you do, then just to kind of try and switch off a little bit and actually enjoy the moment instead of constantly taking pictures of everything you're doing. So it really is a case of setting boundaries for yourself. You're going to be an easy target for criticism, and you have to be thick-skinned, because in this industry, you're going to get a lot of criticism. You're going to get people randomly coming out of nowhere, leaving their comments, haters, trolls, whatever you want to call them. Everyone seems to have an opinion, and everyone seems to want to really push that opinion on you. And unfortunately, it is something that you're going to have to deal with in this industry, whether you like it or not. As much as you're going to get loads of great comments, you're going to get a handful of not so great comments. I'm going to be honest, when I had my first bad comment, and it was pretty mean, to be honest, it was really unnecessary, and it was just like, why would you do this? I genuinely cried, because I was like, not like full on, like, you know, but I was a little bit kind of like, it did upset me. That's when my husband sat down with me and said, you know, you need to be thick-skinned for this industry. With what you're doing, you've got to honestly shield yourself a little bit, because you're going to have people who just don't like you, or just generally don't want you to succeed. And after that, I kind of put my big girl pants on and kind of like dealt with it. You know, now when I get the odd comment here and there, it doesn't affect me. Like, it genuinely doesn't bother me. And I can say that because I know that it doesn't ruin my day. Whereas initially I would tell myself that it's not ruining my day, but it would be, because it would be at the back of my mind. But now I can genuinely say it doesn't stay on my mind. Like, I'm not thinking about it throughout the day. I just genuinely feel sorry for the person, because they must have, you know, I don't know, some issue, you know, like I can't wrap my head around people like that, because I would never do that to someone else. So I find it very difficult to even kind of think, oh, it's probably because of this, it's probably because of that, because I don't find there's any justification for it. But that's just me. That is something you need to be ready for. You need to prepare for it, because what if someone does leave a bad comment? What if someone ends up leaving a comment saying, oh, you look really overweight, oh, you're just, you know, you're quite ugly, or anything like that? And trust me, these are the kind of horrible comments you end up getting sometimes. Not everyone, but I have seen some really awful comments on other people's pages, and honestly, it horrifies me. It's just like, why would anyone go out of their way to do that? They're just not getting anything. And it's quite an evil thing to do, I think. You need to really be sure of yourself, and you've got to understand that you are doing this for yourself, and this is your business, and you've got to believe in what you're doing it for. Because if you start creating content and you don't fully believe in it, and you're not 100% happy with it, and someone leaves a negative comment, it's definitely going to get to you. Whereas if you fully believe in what you're doing, you give it 100%, and you feel that that is the best that you can do, and you have given it your best, you shouldn't care what anyone else thinks, because you know that you couldn't have done better. That is your best. So I would say just approach your work in a very different way. Understand that there's always going to be people leaving comments and not necessarily liking what they see. If they decide to actually leave a comment or say something about it, then that's on them. It's not on you. It's not your problem. You don't really have to see them. Well, half the time they don't even tell you who they are, because they're just keyboard warriors, but you know what I mean. You need to be mentally strong, because sometimes when your content doesn't perform well, that can also take its toll on you. Sometimes when you have put 100% in and it just doesn't perform as well as you thought it would, and that's not to do anything to do with comments or anything, but just generally the metrics, the engagement of it, and how well it's done in terms of views or whatever, then that can sometimes end up making you question, like, was it really that good though? Or maybe I won't do that again. Don't doubt yourself too much, because sometimes it is not because of your work. It is not because you haven't done a good job. Sometimes it is just timing, because I have posted videos which are so similar at one time, and it didn't do too well, and then I've posted it again at another time, like as in a few days later, and it's done so well. So sometimes it is just timing. It is nothing to do with the quality of your work or anything like that. So you've got to give yourself some credit. Keeping up with platforms, I'm going to be honest, that is a struggle. There is always a new platform coming out, it's really difficult to figure out like what works for you. What do you feel works well with your style? What comes naturally to you? What do you feel that you are your best at? Because content creation can be done on anywhere. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. There's just always something new coming out. And honestly, it is hard to juggle all of these different platforms because the audience is so different on each one. Your community isn't going to be the same on each one. And I've honestly seen that myself with my community on YouTube, which is my favorite platform ever, is amazing. There's such a big community, such a kind community, and so kind of like informative, and they bounce back on each other and they end up making friends with one another too. You know, there's no hate going on with my community over on YouTube. Then you have like TikTok, and that's appealing to a much younger market, and you know, the attention span is so short as well with anyone viewing TikTok. It's kind of like very, very quick. So it's difficult to be educational on that platform. It's more about entertainment. So you've really got to think about what is the platform doing? What is it going to be mainly focusing on? The people who are going to be watching the videos on that platform, are those the kind of people that I want as an audience? Are those the kind of people that are going to want to watch my videos? And my videos are even going to be short enough to be able to be on that platform? Like, how much can I teach in like literally 15 seconds? So you've really got to think about the platform. Don't just jump to it and think I need to be on every single platform, because it can end up being detrimental to your whole content creation side. The last one is a crowded space. It is a pretty crowded space, but I do feel that there's always room for new people. Everything is always changing. There's so many kind of like fashion stylists out there. There's so many beauty influencers out there, content creators, tech content creators, and you kind of look at it and you think, how am I ever going to get to that point? Is it even worth me starting? So it can be quite overwhelming with so many other people in your industry, but you've really got to focus on not looking at what other people are doing. And I would highly suggest just focusing fully on what you're creating, tunnel vision, and making sure that is entertaining and that is educating and that is engaging, because that way you're not focusing so much on what anyone else is doing. If I start focusing on the next person who's doing the same thing as me, I can't, because I'm just going to lose focus on my own content creation. And secondly, that person is so different from me. You're never going to have another one of me. You're never going to have another person like that person. You have to be genuine and authentic so that it comes naturally as well. So that's probably, I would say, one of the low points, because it is crowded. It can get overwhelming. It can take its toll on your mental health as well. So you really need to, like I said, going back to all the other points, you need to be thick-skinned. You need to like make yourself a lot stronger, you know, to deal with a lot of these kind of pushbacks, criticism, and it generally being a crowded space. Like, you've really got to focus on your own work and try not to look at what other people are doing. If you do it in a healthy way, just so that, you know, you've got some healthy competition, then fair enough, great, but don't focus on just one person. You've really got to focus on your goals and what you're trying to achieve. That is about it from me today. That is like a kind of summary of my highs and my lows of being a content creator and what I've learned being a full-time content creator. I really do hope that you've enjoyed it, and I hope that it's been informative for you. And if you want to see more videos like this, let me know in the comments box below. Don't forget, I do have my other YouTube channel, which is focusing on beauty. It's very educational, and I know you're going to love it once you're there. So just watch one video and I think you're going to be hooked. And over here, I would love if you hit the subscribe button, hit that bell button so that you don't miss any of my future videos. Hit that little thumbs up button too to just show some support. Other than that, I'm going to see you on my next vlog.